Welcome to Transform Now, a podcast focused on intelligent automation and brought to you by SS&C Blue Prism. On this program, we talk about how organizations globally are rethinking the way they operate, utilizing process orchestration and AI-enabled digital workers to free up humans to do the work that matters most. We also share insights and tips on how you can embrace this new way of working and unleash your full potential. Let's get into the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Transform Now podcast. I'm Michael Marchuk.
And I'm Brad Hairston.
And this is our weekly pulse check on automation and AI news. Before we jump into it, all of the links of the articles that we're going to cover today are in our show notes. So, Brad, before we get into this, these are some troubling articles we're going to go through this week here, but I think you'll be able to provide some insight into these things. So, the first one is from Forbes, called Navigating the Fine Line, AI and Insurance and a Human Touch. And as part of this, they described that one of the statistics that came out of their studies here was that 80% of mid-sized to large property and casualty insurers are poised to deploy AI in decision-making within a year. So they're going to use AI for decision-making within this year. And it's really something that's shaping how insurance is being worked now. So can you give you some insights on your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And notice I'm wearing my Stress Less, Automate More t-shirt from...
I do see that because we do have some stressful articles this week. You're absolutely right.
So with that in mind, let me say that I'm not really necessarily of the same opinion as the article, that the human touch and underwriting or in claim processing is absolutely a decisioning criteria for us. I mean, when's the last time you considered an auto insurer and you really wanted to know whether humans were going to be involved in those things? I can't remember it. In fact, I use State Farm for my auto insurance, and the last accident I had, I never talked to a person. They had an app that I took a picture of my car, and then it used AI to essentially estimate the damages and then forward that to my choice of collision repair sites to go and get it done. And the collision repair people made a few adjustments to it. The insurance company took care of that. I never had to talk to a person, and it all happened very seamlessly. I like that. I don't think I would push for a human to be involved in order to have that human touch, as the article says. So now it may be different in property and casualty. I realize the claims we're talking about there, the damages and the scenarios in general are a lot more severe than me.
And complex too. There are lots of different things, lots of moving parts.
Right. But I'm just questioning whether people really care that much about whether a human is involved in those things. I think they want them to be done smoothly, fairly, and and with quality. What do you think about it?
I think that some of the my counterpoint to that is I think while AI can support doing a lot of different things, I do believe that there's going to be some scenarios, and maybe many scenarios, where that judgment that people have may or may not be able to be made at this point with AI to be able to do that. The other thing too is I guess I feel like I would prefer to have maybe that final decision made by a human after they reviewed perhaps the suggestions that an AI made, just to make sure that that I am being treated fairly through the process.
But would you put up with a week or two delay if that's what it required for a human to look at that decision and weigh in? Or would you rather see it get done within an hour, and then, if there's an issue, if there's some kind of, like, you don't agree with it, or your collision repair service says, hey, your insurance only put up $2,000, it's going to cost $5,000. I can understand wanting a human to be involved in that, but again, I really haven't seen many situations at all in this age we're in, with AI driven insurance estimates and such. I haven't really seen any issues on my side. Doesn't mean they don't exist, but
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point, which is perhaps on the insurer side, that process could be done mostly with AI and be handled rapidly. But you made a comment, which I think is true with no matter what we're doing. If there's some kind of insurance event, there's likely going to be a repair or some sort of thing that we're going to be talking to a person to help us do. So you're going to talk to the roofer or a builder to help you support a building
Right.
claim. You're going to talk to an auto repair shop, and there's going to be people who actually look at it and schedule you for that repair. So you actually are getting people that are involved in the process, maybe just in a different way than perhaps the insurance company would see. So maybe the insurance companies could leverage more AI and pass the human touch of this down to those people who are actually interfacing with you, me, the customer, rather than specifically with the insurance company dealing with me. So interesting point.
Yeah.
So another interesting point, we talked about 80% of the insurance companies moving that way. We have another survey that Gartner had done, kind of along the same lines, but maybe in a different perspective. They said that the evidence based on the numbers that from a Gartner survey, and this is article comes from, the Innotech Today site with their article called "The Human Side of AI: Insights on Balancing Automation and Empathy." And Gartner recently had a survey finding that 80% of top executives feel that decisions made by humans today could be made almost entirely by AI very soon, as in probably now, based on some of the transitions we've had, especially with some of the recent developments that we've been talking about. So this is the decisioning process again, but when it comes to the empathy part of it, what are your thoughts on empathy when it comes to human interactions with humans and AI?
First of all, I'm not surprised that the majority of executives feel like AI is headed in that direction. I don't think empathy, though, is one of those things that will fully be automated by AI. I think we can make AI sound very empathetic and sound like it has a lot of emotional intelligence. But I think in many scenarios, the human touch, we talked about this on the last article, I think the human element is critical. It's one of those innately human skills that we just can't fully automate. And I will assert this till my dying day that nothing can replace a human. The example I like to use, I put this in an article I wrote recently. If you have a kindergarten age daughter and she's having a really tough day at school, would you rather her be comforted by a robot or by a human teacher? And that's really what it boils down to. We can make AI sound very sympathetic or empathetic and, connect with us in a way, and movies and stories make it seem like AI can replace humans fully, like a human girlfriend, an AI generated girlfriend or boyfriend. I'm just not buying it. I think the human aspect is critical. And so I definitely think it has to be balanced, empathy with technology. And I think that's something that companies are going to grapple with forever.
All right, I got another counterpoint for you. How about this?
Okay.
So the last time you went and bought a stick of gum at the gas station, did it require empathy?
The last time I bought a stick of gum, no empathy required.
How about when you were at the grocery store checking out and buying a loaf of bread? Probably not. How about interactions with the last call center person that you talked with that you were having trouble with your cable bill, for example? While there was a person at the other end, do you think there was true empathy there, or were they, quote unquote, doing their job by pretending to be empathetic because they hear the same things hundreds of times per day? What are your thoughts on that?
I think there is a lack of empathy in a lot of those call centers. And I think that's what makes dealing with call centers such a pain to most people, right? Because they're following scripts. There's really a lot. They've kind of extracted the empathy and the emotion out of those transactions. I'm not saying this about all call centers, but a lot of them. My wife one of her biggest pet peeves of all is when she has to deal with a call center for whatever service or company that she's dealing with, because she kind of knows going into it what it's going to look like or sound like. And she knows it's going to be hard and she's going to have to repeat information, and she knows they're following scripts. So I think that's something, again, that call centers are trying to work on. I think we've seen examples of our customers that are looking to use Gen AI in the call center to add that type of empathetic, angle to customer interactions, whether it's real time or it's through email responses or, talking to a customer online or through a mobile app. So I think it's not true in all situations, but I think in a lot of situations, empathy is essential. And again, I don't think it can be provided 100% by an AI model. As much as I love AI and I love what it's doing, I think there's just some non-computable skills that we humans bring to the equation. And I don't think they're going away anytime soon.
I would tend to agree. And again, the article did say 80%, so they weren't suggesting 100%.
Right.
Certainly your kindergarten teachers, their jobs are secure from an empathetic as well as a growth perspective. So now we're moving on to probably, I would consider maybe the most concerning article for this week from the BBC, an article entitled UK Watchdog Looking into Microsoft AI Taking Screenshots. So this week, Microsoft announced a feature within their that they're trying to roll out called Recall. And what Recall would do would be to every few seconds take a screenshot of your monitor with the, I guess the idea is to help Copilot be able to help you find information, websites and whatnot from your past work history, because it would have been able to scan all those screenshots over a period of time. Any thoughts about this one?
How could Microsoft not think that talking to the media and saying, hey, guess what? We're going to expand Copilot and it's going to have this feature that's going to make it easier and more effective, but it's going to take screenshots momentarily throughout the day. How could they not think that would be like lighting a match and throwing it in the barn? Kudos to our friends in the UK and the BBC specifically for calling them out on this and saying, oh, hold on, Microsoft, we need to really peel back the onion and understand this better before we just embrace it. And I think there's going to be similar lashback everywhere around the globe because Copilot is so pervasive. Every company out there that I can think of is using Microsoft, and they're using Copilot as an extension of that since Microsoft has embedded it in their core, Office suite. And I love Copilot. I use it all the time. I won't love it if I know that it's taking screenshots of things I'm doing, websites I'm going to for business purposes, anything I do. To me, that's really, really crossing the line. And I think the privacy and the if you're in Europe, the GDPR concerns and regulations, this is a mushroom cloud, and Microsoft's got some work to do to kind of mitigate the lashback that's happened already.
I would tend to agree. There's a very interesting and telling quote that towards the end of the article, they quoted saying, this is someone who was talking about this particular feature. I wouldn't want to use a computer running Recall to do anything I wouldn't do in front of a busload of strangers. So I suspect that many people would feel the same way. And
That's it all right there.
Exactly. It's not that you're necessarily trying to hide what you're doing, but I mean, how many times a day do you log into your bank account or your other, some other thing where your password may get captured as part of that?
Yeah.
Or your
I
bank
looked at my
balances.
401k balance today, right? I mean, it has a password and all, but do I want it to take a screenshot of that and have that information?
At that point, maybe Copilot would say, listen, Brad, perhaps you should be reinvesting in these other types of assets for better returns.
It probably would.
I think that's the whole point behind is that Copilot would be able to get to know you better, to be able to help you understand your data and how you work and that sort of thing. But I think at this point in time, it may have crossed that creepy line to be a little invasive.
No doubt.
So, well, that's all we got for this edition of our Pulse Check for this week. But I really appreciate your insights, Brad, as always. And we look forward to checking out our articles for next week.
You bet.
Thank you for listening to Transform Now, the podcast from SS&C Blue Prism. You can find all of our episodes on your favorite podcast channel, as well as YouTube. To stay on top of the hottest topics in the world of intelligent automation, subscribe now. The future of work is here.